We're now down in the southern part of the battlefield. So this is the area on the 1st of July that sees most success for the British Army. It's not an unmitigating disaster across the entire front. Up further north, northern sectors, it is north of the Sierra Road, that central area between the Sierra Road and the Albert Bapaume Road, places like Beaumont Hamel, Tierval, places that will be etched into the British psyche for a long time. Down in this sector though, we do manage to break through, which is why when you go on to look at the battles that are fought here late July, August, September, they're all south of not only the Albert Bapaume Road but also the Consommation Road that we've looked at. But we're coming up specifically now to look at a cemetery, and again, like I've done with all my previous podcasts, I won't actually film when we get in there, but this is the Devonshire cemetery, and this cemetery is one of the unique ones on the Somme. Reason being is that here was one of these disasters where the men just didn't get anywhere, and when a few days after the battle and the Germans had been pushed back because there'd been successes elsewhere around the sector, so they obviously withdrew back to maintain the line. They came upon this, and what happened was the men in this sector from the Devonshire regiment came out and they didn't get anywhere, and they almost all fell back into the trench. So when they came back, pretty much they were buried in the trench that they were holding. And the epitaph up here says the Devonshires held this trench, the Devonshires still hold this trench. So I'm going to go up and have a look like I always do. I won't film in there, but I'll take some stills and I'll post them as a slideshow at the end of the video. So the Devonshire Cemetery, Devonshire Trench Cemetery, is one of the most smallest on the Somme. It's 169 graves, but all from the same regiment, and that tells you everything you need to know about the Battle of the Somme and why it was so destructive to communities back home. Because when you think that that's just one cemetery, when you look at the PALs and battalions and the losses that they suffered, you look at the Newfoundlanders and the losses that they suffered, this is a battle that has serious consequences for communities back home. And it's why after the Battle of Somme in 1916 that things like the PALs battalions were broken up to some extent, because they knew they couldn't do it again, that what they had created for the right reasons for recruiting had led to a bigger disaster than they could have imagined. 60,000 losses is bad enough, but when nearly whole communities are wiped out, that's even worse. And the Devonshire Trench Cemetery for me was just an example of that it's small but one of the most poignant on the Somme, and I would recommend a visit to it to anyone that's coming out, perhaps more so than some of the more bigger, more famous cemeteries, because that was a poignant place in there.